Welcome to 1000 PS, welcome to a quick spin on Suzuki's GSX-S1000. It's been updated recently with new TFT clocks, a few different tweaks to the colours, but it is essentially the bike that they launched back in 2021, if I remember rightly. I did the UK launch, I rode the bike a few times after the launch, but it's been a few years since I've ridden this model. So it's nice to come out here to Austria, to the perfect roads with brand new Bridgestone rubber to put the new GSX-S1000 through its paces. In many ways, it is a proper naked street fighter. And what I mean by that is, back in the day, and I mean in the 90s when I still had hair, you crashed your sports bike, you couldn't afford to put the bodywork back on it, so you put some big straight bars on it, you changed the brake lines to fit the bars, and that was it. And that was the street fighters. That's how street fighters were born. And the classic one was GSX-R 750s, and GSX-R 11s, and that moved on to K1, K2s and so forth. But the classic street fighter was a GSX-R with straight bars. And this feels reminiscent of that because it is essentially a 2005-6 onwards GSX-R 1000 engine that is now Euro 5+. And it feels like one. It feels really throaty, it feels really grunty. In terms of actual facts and figures, we're at 152 PS, 11,000 RPM, 106 Newton meters of torque at 9,250 RPM. Suspension and electronics and everything is, let's say, basic. There's no IMU here, there's no lean sensitive ABS, there's no lean sensitive traction control. It's just pretty simple wheel speed sensors. We've got 3 rider modes that are really cleverly called A, B, and C. We've got traction control that we can turn off on the move, which I think is a massive plus, and pretty basic, relatively simple switchgear and clocks that are huge and very simple and easy to read. Now that might seem like I'm being negative, but you're wrong. I'm being positive. I really like that it's simple. A, B, C. That's it. If it's wet, I'll go into C. If I'm going to go track, I'll go into A. For 95% of the time, I'll just be in B. I can turn the traction up, I can turn it down, I can turn it off. And to be honest, for the majority of the time, I just turned it off. And I just enjoyed that GSX-R grunt and just enjoyed effortless, endless wheelies that it does so easily. It's got a lovely raucous airbox kind of gruntiness to it. It's got nice, really good wide bars. It feels mechanical, it feels solid. It's not flickable and agile. It's not a lightweight, let's dart between hairpins. This is more of a roll into the corner and let's use all that grunt on the way out. It's still sporty, it's still relatively agile. The front end feeling is really good, to be fair. But the seat's quite thick and the rear suspension is quite soft. It's a naked bike that I'd want to do miles on, if that makes any sense. And it does feel a little bit weighty. Suzuki claimed that it's 214 kilograms. We weighed it and it's 215 kilograms. We've replaced the standard Dunlops with these quality Bridgestones, which really improve it. These S23s are excellent, and that just gave us a level playing field across it all. The new dash, really simple, really easy to use, full clear, very colourful. Just take a quick glance down, you can see everything that you want to do, and it's easily to read. In terms of price, that's also very attractive. Price-wise, it is under £11,000, so it's $10,999. But Suzuki are renowned for offering deals. So if you go into your Suzuki dealer, be prepared to haggle. You could get a 152 horsepower GSX-R derived powerful naked street bike for maybe 10.5, 10.6 if you're good at haggling. It is a bit weighty, but I think a lot of people will like that. It is a bit physical, but again, I think a lot of people will like that. The Brembo radial calipers are more than up for the challenge of trying to stop at 215 kilograms. But I think I'm a little bit old school. I know I'm a short rider, but I quite like the wide bars. I quite like the big physical feel of it. I quite like this gruntiness, and I quite like the simplicity. You just get on the thing and turn the one button, turn the traction off, and just have some fun. But that's going to be my opinion. It'll be interesting to see what the rest of the team at 1000 PS think of the new Suzuki, because some aren't as old as me, and some will want Bluetooth connectivity and want to make calls and navigation, where some probably remember the old Street Fighter days like me. So let's see what the rest of the team at 1000 PS think of Suzuki's newish GSX-S1000.
GSX-S1000, the hardest thing for me is the name. This is an unbelievably charismatic motorcycle, a really beefy, big motorcycle with the legendary K5 engine, where, in my opinion, it is absolutely top, is the genuine superbike frame with the superbike swing arm. The others simply do not have that. That really is something truly, truly great. And now, everyone knows the Suzuki whine, this K5 engine, it is simply super smooth. But this machine now has, with the Hornet 1000, a real competitor war going on. So this is not some easy walk in the park anymore among these pure inline fours. It used to be basically without competition, at least among the Japanese pure inline fours. And now with the Hornet, a real rival has appeared. This is a close match. But still, the rival, GSX-S1000, a fully charismatic motorcycle that you can recommend to your best friend. With the Suzuki, we as a motorcycle community simply have to be thankful that the competitors have now reacted so strongly, especially when it comes to price. Because now Suzuki has to enter a price region where the motorcycle is just unbelievably good. You have to say that what the others have somehow achieved with a lot of effort, Suzuki has had for years. And when you ride it now in direct comparison, you think to yourself, what on earth are all the new motorcycles doing? Best engine ever. That means you have an insanely great engine. Then you look at the swing arm, you look at the frame, and you think, man, this is just awesome. You have awesome brakes, it is just all brilliant. But then you look at the prices over the last years, and they simply were not as attractive as they are now. Because Suzuki had to adjust, since the others had also adjusted. So, all in all, unbelievably good, confident concept. The engine is now 20 years old, but it has been upgraded again and again, and it feels really pure and, of course, strong. It is like eating something good without artificial flavor enhancers. It is fascinating. No one talked about the Suzuki beforehand because it is not new, but everyone who has now ridden the Suzuki, like just now the colleague who came in, says, you have to take the Suzuki with you to the Pannonia Ring. We are riding the Suzuki again. So strangely, before the test, no one talked about the Suzuki, and now everyone is talking about it.
This motorcycle is so stable to ride, it really has power even from low down. We tried it later on the motorway, 6th gear, 100 kilometers per hour, and really just opened the throttle, and the Suzuki is properly strong. In terms of handling overall, it has nice handling, and where it feels extremely at home, super bike genes, are those nice long sweeping corners at higher speeds. But still you can have just as much fun with it in hairpins and tight corners.
I still do not like the design. I sat on it, I have personally owned the K5 engine twice, and already with the first rumble of this engine, the fire in me was back again. This engine, it is a legend for a reason, and you notice that when you ride it. For me, the GSX-S1000 is again here a very well-rounded, harmonious package. For me, it is quite comparable to the Honda Hornet, only that maybe the Suzuki rides even a touch more neutrally. It is perhaps not quite as sharp as the Honda Hornet in a certain area. The Honda Hornet maybe feels a bit more aggressive and sporty. But I believe that the Suzuki actually does not ride any slower once you have tuned yourself into it.
I already noticed in our comparison test that it was on the heavier side, and also simply, for example, when maneuvering in the handling, it is still easy. So once you have figured it out, I think it works fine even with a 250 kilogram machine, but it just did not move around quite as easily back and forth. And you do notice that this linear build-up is not quite as soft as, for example, on the Kawasaki, which I think can also really appeal to many people. I find the throttle response a bit more direct and things happen very quickly and with a lot of punch. But I think it just depends a bit on getting to know it, especially if you do not yet have all that much experience in this segment with that kind of power and performance. For me personally, the 1000s are also not everyday bread and butter. I am still rather new to them and I needed a bit more time to get used to it. But I think that riders of every experience level will enjoy it as long as they like to ride actively and want punch.
With the Suzuki GSX-S, in direct comparison to the competition, you get the feeling that you are sitting on a larger and heavier motorcycle. This comes partly from the greater distance between the seat and the steering head in front. Even though with the handlebar, the bar they have installed, you still get a very upright seating position. The distance to the steering axis in front is simply a bit longer than on the competition, and that makes the whole thing feel a bit longer and also a bit more cumbersome. The bike is not quite as lively, although still agile enough to handle every situation well. The engine, with its over 150 horsepower, has good performance. You feel that. Especially at the top end, it pushes very nicely. From low down, it needs a little before it gets going. You also notice a slightly more robust engine character. It is not quite as silky smooth as, for example, the Kawasaki or Honda engine, but it is still absolutely fine. We are talking about a generally very high level here. But in direct comparison, you just notice a few differences, especially when going full throttle at around 4,000 to 5,000 RPM. It feels quite robust and a bit rough, but it is still easy to control. So from the engine side, it is actually quite well behaved. The gearing is relatively long. In first gear, you are at 125 kilometers per hour. You notice that especially when we have to ride very tight hairpin corners on the track at 20 to 30 kilometers per hour. When I go full throttle, it takes a few seconds or a few thousand revs until the engine really gets into its power band. A slightly shorter gearing could give it a bit more liveliness. What also stands out, especially compared to direct rivals, is that the brake feels a bit dull. You need noticeably more hand strength to achieve strong deceleration. The first touch on the brake feels promising. You can already feel some braking, but when you really want to slow down hard and pull the lever more, you notice that the brake does not really increase its power. So I have to apply a lot more hand force for it to actually slow down hard. Also, the ABS control is on the more conservative side. It takes a bit longer to come to a stop. And together with the ergonomics and seating position, it just feels like you are on a bigger, heavier motorcycle, which still, nonetheless, can be handled well.